Hey guys, we're back.
Hey,
Boba Show number 4
for for life.
for life.
How
The
you doing,
budget's been
Johnny?
up yet again.
Yeah, 4 episodes. Who'd have thunk it?
Nobody, nobody.
The network, the network executives are very pleased.
Yeah, they're very pleased.
We hit
This
the target
executive,
ratings.
one of them's not so pleased. But he's getting kicked off the board. That's what I heard.
Yeah, good riddance.
There.
So what are we talking about today, Johnny?
Well, tonight, because we're in the mood for it, I thought we might talk about stock trading. All
Awesome.
right. Because pretty exciting stuff, and there's lots of good stock trading action figures out there. You got your Michael Douglas, your Charlie Sheen, your McConaughey. But what we're actually talking about is Masters of the Universe.
Oh yeah.
So we've got a nice little slideshow with some pictures of toys. Very exciting stuff. We're picking our favourites. Same as our other bullshit list. It's not the best ever. It's like, what are our personal favourites in this moment? And you ask us a week from now, we'll probably pick 5 different ones again.
Exactly. And actually, on that note, I should probably now is probably a good time for me to mention. A couple of years ago, I participated in a video on the Chasing 80s Toys channel with Chris
Great channel.
Miwa and
I was watching that stuff yesterday.
so it was myself, Chris Miwa, and Bob
Mm-hmm.
Hansen did a top 5 Motu Origins figures. But that was a couple of years ago, folks, and a lot of
A few more
figures have
figures
come
since
out
then.
since then. So if you want to know what's on that list and what's changed, you can go over to Chasing 80s Toys and watch that video. And it's a great channel as well. If any of you aren't subscribed already, definitely check it out.
Excellent channel. And I totally wasn't inspired to steal the same music from the same source that they use that's copyright free. No, I already listened to that channel, that White Bat Audio, Carl Casey. I've been listening to that channel for as long as it's been around, I think. But when it popped up on the All Things 80s, I went, I know that music. So I listen to it all the time.
Great tune.
Okay, we'll get into the first pick here, kicking things off. We'll go to the next slide. We'll go full screen. Over to you, Mark.
Right, so yeah, Skeletor. Now, for a lot of people, it'll probably seem like an obvious choice, but for also a different cohort of people, it might not seem that obvious because this figure was kind of met with a lukewarm response when the line first came out.
Yeah, the head.
Um, it's the head. Now, full disclosure, I actually love that head sculpt. I love the face sculpt. It's depending on what way you pose the figure and how the light
Mm-hmm.
hits it. It either looks like he's screaming in anger or laughing with
Yeah.
joy. And I know it looks nothing like the original, like the vintage head sculpt. And obviously that was a complaint with the
Mm-hmm.
He-Man that was released during that first wave as well. But I actually love him. I have him right here. I just think that the face, I just think they did a really good, like it's a really animated kind of
Yeah.
lots
I
of
think it's
expression, lots of emotion in the face. And I totally get that people weren't totally chuffed with it because it
I
didn't look
get
like
it, but the
the
original
vintage
head,
one.
if you really stare at it under a magnifying glass, is kind of a strange looking head to start with. And it's got a whole bunch of different sources and artwork. You got the mini comics, you got the show, you got the concept. It's a weird looking design to start with. It's got, many different valid interpretations you could go with.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. And it's one of those deals where I was I wasn't really planning on picking up any Motu Origins. It wasn't something I was
Neither was
planning to
I.
get into. I didn't. I had some 2000X He-Man stuff. Was some of the
I had a
last.
handful of
Uh,
those.
yeah, and I wasn't planning on collecting. But Gojitron, he sent me a gift box, and it had a
He
He-Man, a
stitched you
Battle
up.
Cat, and a Skeletor. Yeah, he stitched me up. He got me hooked. Which is, and I opened up. So I opened up He-Man and Battle Cat first, but and
The
I
Battle
liked,
Cat's
they were pretty
lovely.
cool figures. But when I opened the Skeletor, man, I was just like, I love this figure. I absolutely love the figure, and the head sculpt and the face was just like really jumping out to me. So I
And the
was kind of
colours.
surprised when I went online and saw that it was kind of getting a little bit of hate in some circles. But once
Yeah.
again, I have to reiterate, I think it kind of makes the figure, and it's just a really good
Mm.
like showcase default
Yeah.
Skeletor face. And I know, they did a second run and they gave him the closed mouth and the face that looks a
Yeah.
little bit
I got
more like
about two of
the
each now.
vintage one. But now with that being said, I think the actual best Skeletor head sculpt they've released is still the one in the Rise of Evil 2-pack with the kind of
Hmm.
the
Yeah, I got two
dual
of that
red
as well.
eyes. That's probably the best one, but I still think that this one packs a hell of a punch. And just an all around, it's a great figure as well. Like he
Yeah, it's an excellent
strikes
figure.
a great silhouette, and I know it was the early days of the line as well, so it's our first time seeing that buck that we're going to see a million more times throughout the line.
Yeah, I got the dual head on the 2002 style body that's got the longer skirt, and it works really well. It's got the darker purple. Instead of the powder blue, it's a darker blue, and I love that. You can't see in the light here because the curtains of it's super bright as usual in Australia. So I got my curtains halfway closed. Got that one, and then just bloody yesterday I got this guy in the mail, the snake one. So as of yesterday, I now have 10 Skeletor figures from the
Wow.
Origins, and I got different variations of heads and outfits on every one of them.
Yeah, so you've done a lot of mixing and matching with your
Yeah, yeah.
Skeletors.
Oh, sorry, that
I,
was
I've still
that
been
not
I've still
noise.
been
That was
pretty
Raphael
conservative.
crashing.
I don't think I've even, yeah, my Rise of Evil 2-pack is still unopened, so I haven't even gotten a chance
Really?
to take that
Oh,
head out and swap it on
you've
to
got it
anything
at
yet.
least.
But
Even if even if you do the old get your craft knife and do just around the top, careful so you can pop them out and put it back in if you really want to. That jeweled head, man, it's the way it reflects the light. It has like it sort of refracts the light like a bit of transparent plastic style. It looks so beautiful in the afternoon sun. If you get sunlight coming in, it looks like it has the brightest LED in the world, just lighting his face up. Like it looks amazing.
it's awesome. It's awesome. And even like looking at this picture of Skelly here,
Hmm.
going back to that original sculpt that they released, like I said, it depends on what angle and what way
Mm.
you're looking at him, because sometimes the face looks like he's doing like a goofy laugh,
Yeah.
and other times it looks like he's doing this really intense scream. It's the open mouth, it just depends
Hmm.
how you interpret it. But no,
Yeah.
look, I honestly I still love this figure, and it's one of the I mentioned earlier, I already did a top 5 figures with the Chasing 80s
Yep.
Toys channel. This is one
I
of
think I
two
watched ages
figures.
back, but I want to watch it again now.
Yeah. This is one of 2 figures that is still on that list. It hasn't
Mhm.
changed for me. Like it's still one of my top 5 definitely. That hasn't wavered.
I like all of them, and I'm kind of addicted now. Anytime Skeletor's on sale or doing the variant, I just want it. It's like getting multiples of Optimus or Grimlock or Goku and Dragon Ball. Just give me all the versions.
Yeah, got to get them all.
Yeah, I want that.
Definitely.
What's the one with the dragon head chain thing? I think I have that coming, but it's going to sit for 2 months and bloody custom from Big Bad again.
Yeah. Dragon Blast Skeletor.
Yeah, that
I
one.
I
That
got
looks
mine
cool.
recently. I will say one thing about that figure. Cool looking figure,
Hmm.
but it's the first Origins figure I've ever had trouble with standing up.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah. Oh,
really,
because of the
really
weight.
top heavy.
Yeah,
Yes.
I assume it would
And
be.
no matter what way you try it, you can kind of try to lean him and turn him in such a
Yeah,
way that he's
I
kind of
know. I
he's a
know.
bit
We
more
both collect
balanced.
Transformers. I know about this shit.
Yeah. But it's the first time I've ever had to do that with an Origins figure, because usually you just
Yeah.
literally open them and pop them down. They just stand for you straight away, but not this
So
guy.
basically,
He's
it's
going to
like a
be troublesome.
McFarlane figure. Every single one of them cannot stand up properly and tilt, no matter how you stand, unless you bend the knees and elbow and torso in some kind of contortionist pose.
You have to do like they say on the box. You have to twist them into powerful battle positions. You know, you have to.
Exactly. Exactly. Positions, interpretive dance positions. Okay, we'll go on to the next slide. We've got this one is Scareglow, and I've got some more. It's hard to see here, but this one I took it last year at night time, and it's not easy to try and get a photo of something that glows in the dark at night time without the flash completely illuminating everything. So this was my best effort at it, and I don't hate it. But I love the Scare
Awesome.
Glow and the whole skull theme. And there's an accidental mirroring down the bottom where the characters are all getting reflected, which I didn't intend for that, but it happened to reflect on the surface at the time. Go to the next one. And got a bit more Scare Glow action going on. I love the whole theme of like another skull character. And here I've got the Funko Scorpion and I've got Skeletor just showing off these three variations of skull themed characters. I like his cape. A lot of people complain about the cape, but for a plastic cape, it does that looks like fake material because it's got the ruffles in it like a proper cape. They did a really good job on that cape. I think it's excellent, and I love his little crack or kind of lightning bolt crack in his skull. The paint and the details and the deco just look fantastic, and he's I got him very early on online. I got lucky. Got him off Amazon from America, and it would have been whenever it came. I had it like within 2 weeks of whenever it was first released, and in Australia because I imported it. But then people overseas were going, oh, "I can't get this," and people were going, "I can't get." I actually bought two of the bloody things as well, hoping to pass it on to another local collector. Nobody actually wanted it because it was really early in the line, and people weren't really going for them much. So none of my mates wanted it, so I just put it online for local sale for retail for what I paid for it. So no price shenanigans, and someone got a really good bargain because I paid the shipping fees and that to get it here, and someone else picked it up for cheap. But I love the figure so much, and just as a Masters figure, he's a cool figure that kind of if you put him in any kind of scale, he could work in multiple lines like your Marvel DC, they're all kind of skeleton themed guys. You got Phosphorus Man and Batman. You got Ghost Rider and Marvel. There's a lot of different skull themed guys over the years, and even going back to the 80s, some of those Remco and the weird bootlegs and stuff they did that were bootlegs of either Scareglow or Skeletor that were skull head themed guys that just look really cool even years later. But yeah, I love this figure so much. And over the side here,
he's an awesome figure.
yes, over the side there, I've done another like nighttime photography thing. I pulled his head off, and he's holding on the top right. He's holding his own head up on his hand, just trying to do like a what's that movie with the headless horseman, trying to do that kind of idea. And I've done a little
The Legend of Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah. Just that was what I got there for that, where he's holding his head, and the glow hard or glow home. That's a tagline I came up with for him.
Well, look, that Origin Scareglow does glow hard because
It
I
does. The
I
glow
have
is
a few
fantastic
different.
every night, all
The glow
night
is
here.
fantastic because I have a few other
Like
glow in
2
the
years
dark
now, it
figures
glows every night. I
from
can walk in
different
here like a
lines.
nightlight and I can see it.
Like I have, say, there's like a NACA glow in the dark alien. I have a few other glow in the dark bits and pieces. But when you walk into the room, Scareglow is just buzzing with his like luminous green glow, his radioactive
It looks
glow
great.
almost.
I've
But
just
he's an
ordered one of
awesome
those.
figure.
I've ordered one of those Mega Blocks, Mega Constructs, the little Skeletor heads that come with the minifigures, and apparently that glows, which I didn't know. I've been after one for ages, but not in stores. Found online for a good price. I just want another glowing thing to put in the corner that's a skull thing, glowing thing. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
To go with
awesome
your
figure.
collection of radioactive glowing skulls.
Well, when I was a kid, I used to have like a T-Rex glow-in-the-dark skeleton. It was super bright, and you can make it even brighter if you take a camera or now camera phone with a flash And if you get it like point blank and hold it right up against and go psh, 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 about 3 times, it'll glow like a damn glow bug. Like it'll like nearly blind you. And some of the best glowing figures and toys, they can absorb more light or however it is they work. And the shit ones don't. They stop after about 5 or 10 minutes. The Masterverse one, which I have, that actually glows and was on my desk for about a month. Didn't glow at all. I was watching one of those, one of those bloody Masters channels. The guy that's always doing those 3D prints with the castle and bits and stuff. I was watching his channel, and he said, "Blah blah blah, the figure can glow." And he was doing live at the time for 10 minutes. And then, what do you mean it can glow? Mine doesn't do shit. And he goes, "No, it does." So I tried my old trick with the camera and did the flash, and I tried it right then and there and turned all the lights on, closed it. It actually bloody glows, but without doing the camera flash trick, the Masterverse one did not glow at all. And even when I did that, which like supercharging it with light, it stopped after like 5 minutes, and you could barely see it when it did. The Scare Glow sits on my side corner. The sunlight comes. I'm in front of a window. The sunlight comes straight onto my face here, so I keep the curtains halfway closed. That glows all night, every night for the entire time that it's dark, like 8-9 hours that it's dark, and just looks fantastic every time. I'll move on
it's
to
a
the
serious
next
glow.
one.
Montana. So I've had this figure a while, but I actually only opened them in the last few weeks, and I've just been loving just playing around with them. It's just that crazy sculpt, and I never owned the vintage one of these figures,
No,
but
no,
I've seen the picture and I've held one in hand, like, and back then I can see
this one's
why
better.
kids would have been, oh, this one just blows it out of the water, like completely, just because it's got the articulated legs. Like, that is a massive deal to
The
have,
legs
like,
are amazing.
individually. Brilliant. And you can get them into some serious, like, running and walking poses that look
Mm-hmm.
actually like natural. It's a great figure. Now, if I had maybe one small complaint, would be the fact that you can't permanently set him with the bug eyes, doing
Yeah,
his
that's a
like
little
crazy
annoying.
bug.
It should have been a
Um,
toggle switch where you could just flip it up and flip it down rather than a pressure lever switch.
we might get a little bit of a match or some tack or something, and just maybe stick it
Yeah,
in the back so I
I
could
get
leave it at it.
sometimes. Sometimes I've had toys like that. I get a bit of like cardboard, even from a package, and I fold it up super small and just jam it in where it's not going to damage the toy, but it'll wedge it and hold something in the position you want it.
Yeah, but he's an awesome figure, and it's one of those things, like, I've only had him open a little while, and he's really grown on me, because he looked great on card, but until you actually kind of get him out and like have a bit of a
I,
mess around and a fuss around with him. But even, like, he's got the individual, like, the legs all move, the feet on each leg move. He's got like articulation in the knees. You can just get great poses out of him.
yeah,
And then
and the
that
head's great
face as
too.
well. Like, the head is
Yeah,
great. Like, he he
we won't
looks
say
like
what the
the
mouth is
opaque.
because you all know what it actually is.
Well, look, he's been up late tonight. You can tell. Look at those eyes.
Mm.
He's been partying hard. He's like,
Great figure.
Slurms Mackenzie. He's been partying so hard. But
Yeah,
just an awesome figure. Love the red, really pops, and the kind of orange on the armor, the yellow belt. Probably
got his
so
little
far
cousin over here.
yeah, the
He also,
filmation.
he also he has 4 legs, but they're not. You don't really want to pose these because you'll end up just snapping them off. The plastic's fairly brittle. It balances fine, but
That
like he's
like
the cartoon
is that a
version.
classics? What
Yeah, classics one. I only picked it up last year, cheap on eBay, just to
It's
go
cool,
to go
man.
with the Masterverse ones because they're filmation style. So hang on, I'll bring them back up so we can get another look at them again.
Yeah, comes with the
That
typical kind
crossbow
of
thing.
stupid, yeah, hot crossbow thing that never really,
I think
it either
Hordak had the same
the
one,
mech
didn't it?
yeah, the mechanism never really works properly. It always just kind of
No, it's a
clicks
bit of a
out and does the,
dodgy weapon.
yeah, it's a bit of a dud weapon. But but that would be like maybe like the only real negative I'd have to say about this
Hmm.
figure, and it's not really a complaint at all. in general, he's just class. You can even see in this picture here, like the individual kind of molded detail on the arms, like those
Yeah,
little
like
bulges in the skin. It's really, really just nice looking sculpt. It just comes together so well.
he's a very freakish looking character, and I love it. That's what I love about it.
Yeah. I'd imagine somebody with your imagination as well, Johnny, could probably do some good
Mhm.
things, mixing Snake Man pieces and stuff like that with him to get a real
Yeah,
freakish looking
anytime.
individual, you know.
Well, this
But he's
morning,
massive
this
as well.
morning I was almost going to, and I still might yet. Like I was mucking about this morning. Hang on, go there. And I was look. I just opened this guy come yesterday in the mail. It's this snake armor skeletal. The headpiece you can't remove. It's just the 2002 style figure with bits chucked on it. It's the exact same figure. Um, you can take the armor chest piece off, and I thought I might try him on like this guy and see how it looks, or I might try him on Ratlaw, who's orange looking, an actual Snake Man, to see how they might look that armor piece on there. Because I love seeing the different armor bits and the softer plastic stuff that you can take off or heat up and take off, and see how it looks on other figures, and you swap an armor a leg, and get some fun experiments going.
I reckon you'd still be able to fit the wings on if you put the snake armor on Buzz Off body.
Yeah, because the wings are completely pegged up on his
Yeah.
virtually on his neck, really. So yeah, I
So
think I
there's
could
a
still
gap
get them
there.
on there.
Now that would look pretty cool.
Mm, it might or it might not. I'll try it tomorrow. It might not go in there because of the wing port, but you could still like fake it or squish it maybe. But yeah, I love swapping around the parts. And whenever I get those Origins figures, I open them the day I get them or the next day, because the most of the cards are on that bloody tissue paper thin cardboard that's going to warp or fall apart anyway. Um, Saving on materials and recycling and all that. And whereas the Masterverse ones, I tend to let them sit for a day, or like looking them in a box for a day or two, and then I open them up, and I don't have space to keep all the damn boxes Motu Jones's style. I'd love to have a pegboard, be able to put them back in display shop style. So I cut those all up, and I keep the artwork from the Masterverse ones because the artwork is fantastic on those. And I used to chuck out all the Origins ones, but now I've been actually keeping the card backs, or even just cutting the top piece off what has the cool piece of original art on it.
Yeah, you could probably put something really cool together, putting all
Mm-hmm. Well, where the
those
hell is
individual
Modulock?
pieces
Like,
there.
they haven't done Spycore or Modulock, and like strangely King Hiss. They did the tooling for King Hiss at least 2 years ago for the Jake the Snake release. Was the same figure. It was like the pre-deco, and it's just strange. We're so far into this line, and there's some key figures they have, figures slash characters that they could have done a year ago or 6 months ago, and they're dragging them out. And I hope they don't not miss out on some of them. They've announced pretty much all of them, all those big reveals, but they're piss farting around with some of the core characters that should have been out by now.
Definitely.
Mm. So we'll go on
It's
to the next.
it's the modern way though of these toy companies, isn't it? You
It is.
release everything in drips and drabs.
I'm used to it with Hasbro because I bought so much crap from them over the years, and it's their modus operandi. Whereas now I'm buying more Mattel stuff, and having previously not really bought Mattel stuff, and I'm not. They're usually a bit more consistent with their output or logical in how they do it, but it's like they're taking a page of the Hasbro playbook. Let's piss off these fans and string them along for 2 or 3 years and give them the figure they don't want. Now here's the one you do want with the chrome or the extra head or the weapon or whatever it is. So we'll move on to the next one. And we have Horde Trooper from the, well, He-Man and She-Ra, because Hordak and the Horde Troopers are featured as the villains in the She-Ra cartoon, and they set up all the rivalry, but they were designed for the He-Man toy line. And then when the She-Ra show was launched, they went, well, we need some villains for this show. We're going to gank your villains and put them over here. Even though in the vintage toy line, She-Ra was its own thing in a weird scale, trying to appeal to girls with the combable hair and the My Little Pony jabroni horses. But then the Horde guys and Hordak were meant to be the He-Man enemies, and the figures were in the He-Man line, not so much in the She-Ra line. Didn't make a whole heck of a lot of sense. But I'll just go to this one and come back to them. so we get a good look at them. I love the design of these guys with their armor. The color scheme's awesome. The grey and the black's always a classic. You got the Horde insignia. I do have one next to me. Just the gimmick is cool. Like most of the modern Origins, you don't get the gimmick, so you get a simplified version. This one has the proper gimmick where it's like battle damage or whatever. It flips open, and so it's cool that they kept that. And then there's got a whole hollow thing in the middle. I like that they actually got the gimmick in there. They got the cool color scheme, and the paint is really nice on these. It's like a fake, almost like metallic silver. It shows up better in natural light than on the camera one. And at first I had one of these guys I was able to get imported, and then probably 6 months later I was able to get a couple more at a reasonable price, and I stacked them up with the Hordak. I've got my anti-Eterna He-Man. I actually part swapped anti-Eterna He-Man with the Hordak. That's why he's got a grey body. And I never got the Origins Grizzlord because that's just wasn't available. But both exclusive versions were just sold out and gone. So that Grizzlord is actually a vintage figure that a mate by the name of Bevan Davey, who lives in Victoria, he gifted me that. And I was so grateful because I was going online with a private chat going, I can't get this bloody Grizzlord in Australia. It's pissing me off. And he's like, I've got 2 of these ones. You want it? I'm like, well, yeah, I guess, but I'm, a little man child. I want the new one. I'm like, well, this one's a good condition and it's got nice fur. Well, okay, I guess if I have to. But I'm so grateful he sent me that because it's a legitimately good figure, that vintage one. The hair's good, the face is good, and I get to have a cool little badass team with these guys. And up the back of that's the mega figure of the McFarlane Spawn, a Violator figure. And I still have another bloody Violator bought 20 years ago, a skinny version. This one's like the beefy muscle version. And then more recently, I got Leech. So I've chucked him in there. I love that whole evil Horde insignia with the like Hordak face and the bat symbol that's on like the characters. There's a few other cool ones they did in the She-Ra show. Like there's the Batros and there's the Vulture Man looking guy. I forget the name of it. He just looks like a vulture. But I love these Horde troopers so much, man. Like if I could have 10 of them, I happily will. But I've got 3, and that's my personal standard for if you're going to have any kind of troop build. I'm like, well, 1, what does one guy do? Nothing. 2, they're just buddies hanging out. 3, okay, they're serious. You don't mess with. There's 3 of these guys, and I feel like such a great figure. And you knew when they did that figure, you knew like at some point this guy's coming, right? The black version with the snake, because they'd already done the black body back as that exclusive 4-pack or whatever with the fuzzy Grizzlord, first release of the Grizzlord Origin. So we eventually got these Snake Men. I managed to get 2 of these guys, exact same figure, same gimmick. Only difference is the head. The head looks great, but it's objectively it's a bit shit because there's no neck or nothing. Because when I got him, I thought, oh, cool, I can take the head off this guy and let's see what can I do with the snake head. Who can I put on here? The snake head has got like no neck and nothing in it. So if you put it on another body, it looks like he's going like that. It just looks garbage. But the reason why the Horde Troopers in this list are not this guy, because if you collect Transformers or any other toy lines where there's massive amounts of black repaints of a badass figure like Nemesis Prime, I love the black version. Why didn't we get an armored head to go with this guy? So then it could be a black armor, because they had that stupid exclusive, and then I thought it was just complete bullshit. They should have given us 2 heads with this. I love this other figure, but if they'd given us the helmet head and the snake head, this figure would be on the list instead of the silver one, because the black color scheme's awesome. So I thought they dropped the ball with the snake release, but I'm still glad to have it.
The standard ones though, they are great, and they're beautiful army building pieces. Like I have a couple of them. I'd like to get a couple. Yeah, I'd like to get more. They just look really good in a group together. And the action feature is great, even for getting photos set up, because you can have like weapons jammed into their armor and stuff like that. There's just a very, versatile, cool figure. Yeah, so I think I have two at the moment and one snake version. So I want to get a couple of more of the standard ones and at least one more snake one. Because like you're saying, what do you do at one trooper? Nothing.
Hmm. I could live with my two snake guys because they're over in my wrestling ring, and I've got them as a tag team where it's the snake men versus the beast man and whoever else. So I don't mind having two. Whereas the silver ones, I could happily get three more of those. I could happily have six. That would be my maximum. And you could have like two lines of them marching and Hordak, like sending them off to battle or whatever. They get
Could you
trashed by Shira and Bo.
could you take a standard issue Horde
Hmm.
Trooper head and paint it black and stick it on a snake armor
Oh
body? Is the
yeah,
peg the same?
oh yeah, absolutely could. But you'd be throwing away the money you purchased to get the other figure because either way, both figures cost an arm and a leg to get here. So I might as well just But yeah, you could definitely do that. But I pay such a bloody premium to get the things here. You'd be you're gambling with your life. if you're rich, sure, buy as many as you want. But I'm on a budget here, and I'm like I get something when I can, and if I can't get it, then live without it.
Yeah, fair
Well,
enough.
we'll move on to Mark's next pick. A very
Triclops.
cool pose here.
Yeah, so spoiler, this is the second of the two figures I mentioned. So Skeletor was the first, and this is the second one where, of that previous list I did, this guy's still on the list. And he was just another one of these guys. I think he might have been wave 3, maybe. He was very
Yeah,
early on in the
I want
line.
to say it was about wave 3 or 4 at the latest. And I
But
missed it. It was
just
on for months on Amazon. I didn't buy it because he's not my favorite guy. I thought, oh, I'll get next week, and then they're sold out.
I've always had a bit of a soft spot for Triclops. I just kind of like the whole changing eye gimmick, and
Hmm.
obviously it's something that they were easily able to keep with the Origins version as well, to have the changing eye feature. But
Yeah,
I've always just kind of liked him. He's really colorful. Like, it's weird, like, because you could look at the character design overall and be like, well, that's a kind of a goofy looking character. But there's just
I
something
found him kind
about
of
him.
generic.
Yes, yeah, and like and it's he breaks the mold a bit for me a bit in the sense that usually I go for characters that are either like a robot or a monster, and
Yeah,
that's kind of the same
or a
thing
robot
I have in
monster.
nearly or a robot monster, and you could say that like about any of the other lines like Star Wars and stuff. I always prefer
Hmm.
creatures and robots over people, and
So do
Triclops is
I.
essentially just a person. But I think it's the gimmicked helmet that makes him
Yeah,
different, that separates him from the rest of the crowd. And I love the expression on his face. He looks really, really angry. He looks either like he's really angry or he might be suffering some constipation and trying to get something
he
out. But
does.
but
He
whatever
does.
whatever way you want to read that facial expression, it's a really
Is it?
emotive
How many
facial
eyes is it?
expression.
3? Because I've never owned it.
It's three, yeah. So you've got
Yeah.
your kind of like the blue eye, then there's like an angry red eye, and then there's like the triangular kind of looking
Hmm.
eye as well. I think I have them. Yeah, I have them to hand here. So,
Yes, it's
oh yeah, I
interesting
know
because they
there's
went
the
same with Many Faces had 3 as well.
yeah, he's got the really, really evil red eye, then he's got the blue and white eye,
Hmm.
and then a red and white eye. But he's an awesome looking figure. I think it just
Yeah, he's good.
the
I
color
regret
the
not
colors
picking
on
it
him
up
just
back
really
then.
pop. And it would have been nice if the comic version had been a little easier to attain as
Yeah,
well. I know
I
it
do. The
goes
comic
for
version was
crazy
nice.
money.
So I remember watching All Things 80s Dean's channel when he was picking up. He was able to get that one, and it's a nice figure.
Really like that sword as well. It's like the
Yeah, it's the
Jitsu
same as
sword
a
or whatever
Fisto
that comes
sword,
with.
isn't it? But
Yeah,
green instead of
yeah, or
purple.
the pistol. That's sorry, the pistol sword. You're correct there. Yeah,
They should have
yeah.
used that
Just
sword more in the line.
he just kind of popped. I think it's as well. They didn't give him kind of muted colors for the armor. If he just
Yeah,
had kind of gray armor, that he would have looked very boring. But I think like
yeah.
the bright green and orange. It just really,
Hmm.
really pops. He's just a cool looking figure. I
Yeah,
kind of, I like the
he could
character in
guest
the
on
show as
Ninja
well,
Turtles,
so
I
I'm a bit
guess, with that
biased.
green.
Oh, definitely, he could definitely guest on Ninja Turtles or maybe even Thundercats or something. He just has
Yeah, or
that kind of
Thundercats. Yeah, he would fit in. He would fit on
look about him.
Thundercats.
And usually when I'm doing my own kind of photos, he's just a great guy to have for if you want to get a bit of a sword duel going with He-Man and a few other characters. Like he works a treat. Yeah, so
I regret not
I'm a
buying it,
fan.
but I do have the Masterverse one, so at least I got some version of them now.
I think for a lot of these earlier wave figures, since Mattel, I was saying this recently to Grindhead Jim when we did the rundown
Who's
of
that guy? I
what was
never heard him.
revealed. Yeah, just some dude. But
Just some guy with a
we were
beard.
I was saying, a nice thing for Mattel to do would be to do re-releases of the earlier
Yeah, those
waves,
early ones.
especially now if they're going to move everything online with Origins, which is what they're planning
Yeah,
on doing. I think then a fair trade-off would be to make the early waves available for people who missed out the first time, just to
yeah.
kind of make good. It's like, look, we're leaving retail, so here's like a small gesture to say
Hmm.
we appreciate you for collecting the line. So here's another shot at some of the guys you missed.
Yeah, it'd be good if they could put out some of those early ones again. I got very lucky on the early first two. I got most of the stuff from the first 2 or 3 waves. It was on Amazon America, and I bought it, shipped it to Australia. I think I got the free shipping or whatever. And then after those first 2 or 3 waves, stuff got really hard to get. I couldn't get on Amazon anymore. Had to look elsewhere, pay eBay prices. And for some reason, I was getting stuff here, and there were people in America and toy groups and forums going, "How'd you get that?" I'm like, "Well, it was on Amazon. You're in America. You could have bought it. It took a month or 6 weeks to get here. Why didn't you buy it?" I don't think they were aware it was on there because they had the whole Walmart exclusive thing. But some of that was bullshit because when Walmart was supposed to have stuff and messing around, it was on Amazon in stock, ship it now, and it was there, and they could buy it. So how exclusive it really was, I don't know. In those early days, a bit of nonsense.
Yeah, there was definitely some funny business going on with distribution in those early days. Then again, given the whole situation at the time,
Yeah.
because like yourself over here, I was quite lucky. It was very easy for me to go into regular retail shops and just pick them up
Hmm.
right up until the naked Stratos wave, and then it just stopped. It was like everything peg warmed in that wave, and then they just never stocked them
Yeah.
again. It's like they were like, oh no, everybody must just not be interested in Motu anymore. We're
Yeah.
not going to get them in.
I'm going to pause here for just a moment. We're going again.
Yeah. So
Mean
awesome
green and on
figure,
your screen.
really exactly. He just popped. He just really popped.
He does.
Um and like I said, so even though he's like your essentially just a human character with armor, the armor
Hmm.
really brings a lot of personality. So that's why I've included him in my faves. He still stands out all these years later to me.
He's a cool figure, and I'll drink a green apple cider to that. Okay, moving on. And we've got Sign of the Fist, the Fist Man, Fisto. I would not get into an arm wrestling contest or a single one punch knockout contest with this guy for reasons that are obvious. I never had this guy as a kid because I had like 3, maybe 4 figures ever. I used to have Battle Armor, He Man, the Dirty Skeletal I found in the park. I told you about the other time. I found one that some kid had left and lost. I had Whiplash, and I forgot that a couple of years later I did actually have. I think it was Rock On, the guy that folds in half and looks like you want him to kick him in the butt in the position he bends in. Because I forgot that was a Masters figure for years. Because it was like they were trying to do. It was that later line time when companies were aping what else was successful. Like Transformers was trying to do micro machines. Masters was trying to make a transforming rock band or a rock claw. They're all look at each other's gimmicks and all that nonsense. But bring them up here. But yeah, I really like this figure, and every time I see the Fister, I just think it's like Zazel from Sergeant Slaughter's as an action figure with the beard and that hair. And he does mention the figure a fair bit. But yeah, I got on the right side there, I got the Masterverse 1, 2, and He's pretty cool, but like, look at the fist. Like the little one is like his fist is like still the same size as the bigger one. Like I wouldn't mess with either of them, but I think the Origins one is the better figure overall. And I got that Violator up there again. Just did one him punching them in the mouth. And going to this one, bit of 80s callback action, Stallone.
I love
Because
that.
I love
I
having,
love that over the top.
yeah, I love just having these two together with the, and actually strangely on the Fisto they gave him the sort of metallic back metal looking fist. I mean how they did I don't know, but it looks like a shiny metallic thing. Whereas Fisto he's only got the flat one. They didn't give him the chrome look, and it feels like a bit of a knock against him, but he still looks fantastic as a figure. He's got that same body armor as the what's I forget Clamp Champ. Same body armor, just in different colors, different details. But I love the Fisto figure, and I didn't. He's another one that was I want to say at least wave 4 or so. Could not get him for months and months. I mean, you can't buy jack shit in Australia, so I had to import it, and I couldn't get on Amazon, couldn't get on eBay. It was probably about 6 months later I finally got one at a fair price, and I was like, I really want this guy because he's like, to me, he's like core He-Man characters and heroic characters, and even like if you follow, there's the cartoon, there's the mini comics, different lore, but going with the old filmation and that, like He-Man, he's a kid, like Shazam, he's a kid who turns into a Superman basically, whereas your elders and your real classic heroes are like your Man at Arms and Fisto. They're like the seasoned veterans that Prince Adam's going to be learning from. So how can you not have a Fisto around? He's just, he's the guy that's going to mentor the next generation in Eternia along with Man at Arms. But I think they did a fantastic figure. Like his beard looks awesome. The colors really pop. But while it's a toy-based figure, it's sort of cartoonish colors. They're softer colors, other than um, his nemesis went with the metallic, but he's got more flat colors on the Fisto. Just an awesome figure that I thought got to have him character wise. Didn't expect to like him that much when I got him in person, but in hand, and he's just a beautiful, beautiful figure. I like him so much.
Well, I love him. I love him too. And yeah, I get what you were saying earlier. It was weird that they gave Jitsu the full vac metal chrome treatment, but then
Yeah,
they opted to paint Fisto. But that being said, when you do actually see the figure in hand, he still looks brilliant. Like it doesn't really take away from him. It's the type of thing you probably
no,
wouldn't
it
even
doesn't.
notice if it wasn't if they didn't do it with Jitsu, you probably wouldn't question it
Yeah, you
on
wouldn't notice if
Fisto.
they'd done the same on both. Then you'd kind of go whatever, but it's just odd.
They are though the perfect foils for each other as well when you're doing
Yeah,
kind of
and I still
action
want the other
setup.
bloody horse, like the other redecoed horse. They haven't put that him out.
Yeah, the Night Stalker. So
Yeah,
then you can have you'll have Jitsu and Night Stalker going up against
mm,
Fisto in Stridor.
yeah. It just seems. I just thought of all the things, um, um, like there's a lot of Hasbro stuff. They do massive redecos of virtually everything they do, and the Mattel kind of more puts out more original releases. But when there's an obvious redeco, no parts retooling, just change the bloody colors on the computer and send the thing off to the factory. How the hell are they not doing the Night Stalker? It doesn't cost them anything more, just a bit of different art for the graphics on the box. That's it. Poop it out. And I don't know how they haven't done it. Like, maybe their vehicles don't sell well enough, because I know of all the figures have been hard to get. Usually the vehicles have been easier to get in this line, and some of them shelf form or sit around and go on clearance. I'll move on to the next one, which is Whiplash.
Flash. Yes. So another guy I had for a while, but only recently opened. So I was having a mess around with him. One of those guys, like I like Whiplash in the cartoon, and I know he kind of looks totally different, facially and that to how he appears here. But I just really like this figure, and I always kind of liked the look of the old vintage figure, even though I never owned one. I just always thought he was
Mhm.
cool. And you know us, Johnny, we have a weakness for these
Yeah, the
mutanty looking
monsters. Whiplash
guys,
was the one I had,
monstery guys,
and that new one is very authentic to it.
and just the tail
Yeah, had
really,
a good
really
job on
just
the
adds
tail.
so much.
He
And
doesn't
just
have
the
the old
general,
gimmick, of course, which he would twist and he would whip around with the
yeah,
waist twist, but that's the only thing missing, really.
yeah. Unfortunately, you have to manually slowly move his tail. You're not going to be
Yeah,
like knocking over the rest of your figures with some spring-loaded action. But he's a great looking figure.
he is.
I think it's the different shades of green really do it for me. Just that entire kind of
Hmm.
reptilian vibe they've got going
Yeah,
on.
very Harry
The
Wasn't
rubberized
sort of look.
tail, it's great for posing as well because the tail
Mm.
can kind of act as like an extra kind of stand. So if you want them kind of in like the
Yeah,
running poses or that, he can balance on his tail
well,
and stuff. You can get great
that's the
action poses out of him.
one improvement. You don't have the waist twist gimmick anymore, but what you do have is that the tail was a separate piece, so now it's more rigid if you want them to like balance and do more dynamic poses and do other stuff with it.
Yeah, and you can get a lot out of it. And even from my usually I'd have this guy since I opened him. He's usually behind me on the Grayskull display attacking the castle, and it's just handy to get him in these kind of like running motions because of that tail. It can hook
Yeah,
around, bits of rock and stuff to balance them.
yeah,
Just a great figure. And like I said, I know facially, especially, when you look at the animation model and then compare it to what you would have
very
gotten in
different.
this vintage style toy, very different, but it's still a very cool looking face. Like it's a real, just kind of
Hmm.
ugly ass mutant. This guy would
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
fit right in Turtles. He'd be hanging around with
Do
like
they have?
Leatherhead. Yeah, they'd be like
I
best
think he had.
buddies.
I want to say in the vintage line he had like a squishy head too. His head was like squishy because like the old
Definitely.
turtles, they had the hard heads and the squishy heads. Same thing in the Motu. That some of those early variants in it.
He comes with that, spear. I'm pretty sure we've gotten this with a few guys now.
Yeah, there's
That
also quite a
spear, or at
few
least
in the
a
line.
variation.
I think Scareglow had the same or similar spear thing.
But he's pretty cool, if you were into doing it. I know you're fond of your green Skeletors. I'd imagine that
Yeah.
his leg, like his lower body and his arms are perfect to
I've
get
thought about it.
a
I was
green
sat there
Skeletor
going,
into.
I might try this guy or that guy. And
Because he's got the classic kind of like creature feet as well, so
yeah,
you wouldn't have
like
to do
that's
too much
just for
messing.
context.
I
That's
love
just my
that
man
guy.
at arms with the 2002. He's got the cape. I do have that's the dark purple cape, but it's the lighter blue body things. But I have two of the 2002 versions, which has a darker purple. So eventually I'll swap that around to the other colors. And I didn't come up with this idea. Hebro, I couldn't think of it earlier. He's always 3D printing stuff. He's the one that first showed that online. That the first time I saw it, someone else might have come up with it. But when I saw it and I was watching the video and I had those figures next to me and I went, I'm trying that right now, popping those parts and give it a go.
It's a really
Yeah,
cool
but yeah,
look.
I keep one permanently like that now because I love it. But
And
yeah,
it's nice to have
Whiplash,
these
kick ass
these
figure.
contrasting blues and greens against each other on
Mm-hmm.
a shelf look great.
Yeah, I like him in the 2002 line. I have that figure too of that version, and that's a really beautiful figure. And but in the cartoon, he looks like a complete badass. But they give him a like, "Duh, what do you want, Skeletor?" That kind of moron voice, like Three Stooges or some shit. So that really annoyed me in that show. They made him such a badass design in the figure. And if you look at the production art for the show and the concept for the sketches in the toy, he's meant to be like a beast, like another beast man, like a lizard beast man sort of thing, and badass. But in the show, they make it really lame. And I was like, why'd you do that? He could have been a cool villain. But takes nothing away from how awesome the toys are.
Exactly.
Oh yeah. So we'll move on to the next one. And we've got a bit of shake, rattle, and roll here. And people that watched this show before might have recognized this image because I got Mr. T from from a favorite wrestling picks. But yeah, I've got did a heap of photos with Ratlaw when I first had him. The colours pop so much, and you can't quite see in there, but actually up the top left is Clawful, and behind him is a vintage Ratlaw my friend gave me that has the neck gimmick as well as the rattling. The colours pop so much on this modern version of him. He's got that same rubber kind of tail like the Whiplash. The head sculpt is the same as they've done for the Snake Trooper. It's just that it's that head but in red. And he's such a beautiful figure. The colours with the blue and the yellow. And he's been, since I've had him, I happened to get that Motu Eternia wrestling ring thing. So he's been in the wrestling ring ever since I've had him. And like here, I was going for like your WCW World War III sort of thing with the two rings. Had like the Snake Man, and these guys all just going nuts. And the day I got him, I took his parts, as I always do when I get new. If you've got a figure you can swap parts the day you get them, I'm just sitting there watching TV. I open them up, I'm watching some nonsense, and I just sit there and like a kid play with blocks, like how can I arrange this combination? So I pull them apart and I put them one way and I put them back together to see what they look like. But I took the extra extension head, like the vintage toy had the neck gimmick that goes up and down. But instead we get a swappable part, that yellow neck. I tried it on the Khan, which I got on the same day. And it works quite well, just as a neck extension. I tried it on He-Man, who looks completely ridiculous just for a joke photograph. But I really wanted to get a second one of him so I could have one in the normal head, one with the extended head. But I've seen one ever at retail in a year. And that was it. Most of the stores here don't get anything at all. And if they do, they get possibly one box or maybe two boxes for a store, and that's it. And then no restock, nothing. So if you're there on the day, when they happen to be opening something at like 8 a.m, which I was on this day, it's the only reason I have this figure now. I just happened to be doing my weekly browse at a different store. They were literally opening the boxes and putting the stuff on the shelf, and I went, okay, I'll have that. And I was going to buy two right then because I loved it so much, and I went, don't be greedy. Someone else will want that. Leave it alone. If it's there next time, was not then gone in 24 hours, which rightly so, good figure, but it's bullshit when you got one box in a whole store. And it's not a big box, it's a little box. I mean, there's literally like possibly one or two ever of the figure in the store, and that's it, and they're gone. So I thought that was a bit of nonsense, but such a beautiful figure, man. I love those colors, his little belt with the Snake Men little insignia thing on it. He's got that same staff that comes with, they've repainted a heap of the Snake Men characters come with that staff with the coiled snake in different colors. It's a cool sculpt. And it would definitely be, if you wanted to repaint something, the weapons are the thing to repaint in the Motu line if you want some extra detail. But if you like that toy aesthetic, then you kind of want to keep the vintage type, simple colors in it.
Yeah. He's also got that kind of same deal like when we were talking about Whiplash earlier, because he's got a kind of a rubbery tail at the back. You can kind of use that sometimes to get a little bit of extra posability out of him. You can like wrap it around things or just have him kind of maybe balancing on us if you want to get him in a kind of running or a walking pose. He is a great figure, and I love that instead of like keeping the gimmick, they actually made it like a swappable piece for the neck.
At least we got something.
Exactly, and look, he still has the rattle, which is really cool.
I forgot until today. I was actually shaking. I went, oh, he does rattle. And they did improve his legs, because on the vintage one, it has very short, stumpy legs and super long arms. But on the Origins one, they have the extra knee and ankle joint, and the legs are a bit longer. He still has a giant torso and short legs, but the legs are a little bit longer and more in proportion than the original one. Of course, snakes don't actually have legs at all, so if you're going for accuracy.
Snakes don't have legs, but snake men do have legs.
Yes. And snakes
don't
wear ties.
As is my understanding.
Yes. Oh, yeah. We'll move on to the next one. And this is the Beastman, but it's the Lord of... Tell me if I say it wrong, because I'm not an expert and I stuff things up. Is it Lord of Power or Lords of Power?
It's Lords of Power, but
There we go.
I refer to
I
it
know it was the
generally what
pre-concept when they were still naming the toy line and all that.
yeah, I know Bob Hansen, whose channel is the Bob Squad channel,
Yeah.
who I often watch. He just refers to
Oh,
them as Lop.
send me a link
So
to
he
that
says,
because he's following me on Instagram and I wasn't sure who it was. I heard that name, but send me a link so I can look up their stuff there.
"Oh, definitely great channel, great channel." But he refers to these figures as Lop, so he just say Lop
Lop. Yeah,
Beastman or
I
Lop
do it too. I just say
Merman.
Lop. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah, Lop Lop
if
Lop
you
Lop
live
Lop Lop
in
Lop Lop Lop.
if you live in Australia and New Zealand, there's Super Nintendo and no one ever says Nintendo Entertainment System. We just say NES or SNES.
Yes,
That's what we say to here. Say it like Lop. It's a Lopper. But yeah, this figure, I passed when he first came out. I completely passed him by. I mean, online, not in stores. He'd never come here. Passed it by. I went. Oh, it's a nice looking figure, but I mean, I don't care. I got no attachment to this mini comics variation of Beastman. I'm fine with the regular one. Excuse me. I bought a few figures from a Aussie eBay seller that had good deals where he was selling them at retail just out of package, but they were new and unused. Heck knows why. It's like he was just buying them, opening and selling them again. But bought a few of him. Good deals, good feedback. And I was browsing this eBay store like, once a week sort of thing. And this guy was in there and I was sort of going, oh, yeah, maybe I'll get it. And the price was just right. And I thought, I'll take a chance, have a look at him. And when I got him, like, I don't know if it's because also I picked up that Masters wrestling ring. I put him in there. He's got that belt and just the look of him, he's all the muscles and that. He's just a wrestler. And whether you say he's a Beastman wrestler or like a costumed tiger mask style wrestler guy with a mask on, he works either way. I picked up the Motu Ultimate Warrior figure just so I could swap his armor bits onto a He-Man and have a He-Man Ultimate Warrior. And then I tried the cape on the Beastman just because of the colors in the red, and it works pretty well, like a kind of show entrance wrestling cape. So, and then on the right there, that's the He-Man. I've put the Warrior armor bits and that white and the white trunks on him, plus his arm tassels. So I bought the Warrior figure is an awesome figure, but I just bought it for the parts because I wanted to swap them to other figures, and accidentally improves my wrestling Lords of Power Beastman, who became even cooler.
yeah, the cape definitely works. I think. Um,
Mm.
it's like the
And he's got
Red
that little
Riot
face paint
coming
under his
towards you.
eyes as well. Makes me think of like early, not Sting, but pre-Sting when they were like what was that bloody tag, where it was Warrior and Sting as that tag team.
Blade Runners.
Yeah, yeah, it makes you think of like that real early '90s eyeshadow stuff before they went full face makeup, or even like Legion of Doom and all that and that sort of thing.
He's got those like Vega style clothes as well. The
I
wrist
didn't. I
gauntlets.
honestly have never noticed that until you pointed out just now. The
Yeah.
people don't know what the hell Vega is. He's referring to Street Fighter 2. But yeah, he's got those little claws on it. I've never noticed them. I've seen the arm gauntlets, but I've never noticed that there were claws on there until you pointed it out. And he does come with other armor bits that go on his upper arms and chest, but I took them off to give him the wrestler look, and it makes him more distinct and different than the vintage style Beastman. And that's the Masterverse one in the background, who's got the again the early concept sort of armor he comes with, so making for three cool variations of Beastman.
More of these Masterverse figures I see, the more tempted I am to dip a
Yeah,
toe in the line.
I got two of that
I'm gonna
Masterverse
stay
Beastman
strong
now
though.
because they're on sale. Yeah, I think, and all the whole Masterverse line, the two figures that stand out the most to me would be like that Beastman. I think that's legitimately the best figure in the entire line, followed by Too Bad is awesome. And I'm looking at the ones down to my side to remember what I've got out there. And and I guess the She-Ra is pretty decent. The Hordak's decent, but not as nice as the classics as far as the look of them. lacking a bit in the colors and the details. The She-Ra is pretty good, a legitimately good figure, and it's more poseable than the classics, but it lacks a little bit of the more finer paint details. But I would put the She-Ra as the third behind this Beastman and the Two Bad for just being the best figures in the line so far. But there's other ones out now, like they've got their Whiplash with the armor, and they've got the Buzz Off looks really great. I'll probably pick him up. Okay, we should probably kick it back to the origin. It'll become the top 5 Master Bear. Okay,
video for another time.
Yeah, it's enough for another time. Move on to the next one. That's just a close up one there, showing off the faces, really seeing the toy style Beastman, and then the Lords of Power Beastman, seeing it a bit closer. Pretty cool, and I like it's got the open mouth, the big light and size of teeth, and that it makes him more distinct and more feral and bestial, I guess. Okay.
Yeah. He looks like he's a very different looking character to your standard Beastman,
yes,
which is good. If you wanted a Beastman, like to have a few of that type of
your troopers or your actual race of Beastmen, which they did have in the early mini comics and DC comics and that. And this is probably my favorite photo I've ever let's get ahead. Spoiler alert. Just before we move on to the snake face, this is my favorite photo I think I've ever done of the Beastman, because I've got it's just a He-Man figure, but I've given him the worried, excited face, and I gave him the tunic from a Masterverse figure, so it's kind of like this peasant Adam or whatever. There's a Power Ranger upside down in the corner getting beat to hell. There's a Cobra Khan spitting acid, and this Beastman is just like raking the Adam's face into the steel cage.
It's the most insane War Games match ever, you know?
It's like any of those old Ric Flair or Shawn Michaels matches where it's just like that blood's going to start coming out of that forehead any second because he's just messing him up. But yeah, it became kind of comedy gold, just that head. Just that bonus head that came off on the He-Man's where he's like, ah! And it's meant to be, Motu Jones said it was from some specific episode of the cartoon, but he's either really scared or about to shit himself when you put that alternate head on there. So it works well for a wrestling match. Okay, I'll head over to you for your next pick.
Right, so Snake Face, and without a doubt, he's my most recent Origins pickup. Going to mention him again just because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have him. But Grindhead Jim actually sent me this figure recently, very kindly. I
Nice.
missed out on the opportunity to get him over here. I had him actually in an order with Snake Tila, and then the Snake Face part of the order was cancelled, so I only ended up getting Snake Tila. So Jim to the rescue, he swept in and
Nice.
saved me on
Well
that regard. But like, I am so glad I have this figure now, because once I had him in hand,
he's awesome. I only got him
when I
last
opened
week
him
or
up,
so too.
oh, he's so good. He's so good. And like,
And the two heads.
I have him with the freaked out snakes coming out of his eyes look at the moment, but he also comes with like his standard head. But so he's essentially, like, I suppose, like a male version of Medusa, like, because his gimmick is that if he looks at you with the snakes, you turn to stone. But it's just a really awesome looking figure. Like, the armor on him is cool. It's got the two kind of fold out bits where the snakes can pop out. That shield he comes with, I know we've said it a few times already, but this even looks like a Ninja Turtles accessory. That looks like the type of accessory you get with like a wacky action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. It's just got that bright green and like molded details. Double snake face action here tonight, folks.
Double snake. I want two of him, which it's because I'd happily have the alternate heads. Oh, what the hell's going on? Oh, sorry, to pop up on the screen. I thought it crashed, but it was my virus protection.
he's one of those figures where I don't really know much about Snakeface as a character. Like, I don't know much about his like backstory, but since I've had him in my collection and I've put him with the other Snake guys, he's kind of nudging King Hiss out of the way as like my leader of the Snake Men, because he seems to be
it's pretty cool.
He just looks like he's kind of got like real end of level boss vibes coming off him. He just looks like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
so maybe if King Hiss is the leader, Snake Face is like his right
This is
hand man
Starscream.
who's just gonna, yeah, exactly. He's gonna dish out punishment in the form of
Mm.
turning your enemies to stone. Anybody who disagrees with King Hiss is gonna get turned to stone. But
And
he's
check out
so
the
cool.
side
Like,
of his arms too. Like those scaly bits look great in the
yeah,
painting.
and and they've even added a little bit of extra dash of green wash on the arms as well to just
Mm.
to break up the color a bit.
And
But
the
like,
purple trunks
he's
look
he's
cool.
very interesting. Purple trunks. He's got a lot of, like, even though like from a distance he's kind of muted colors, when you actually get him up close, there's a lot of different
Oh,
paint apps
it's vibrant
going
as
on
hell.
there. And the
He's got
look at
this.
those
This is a
snakes
beautiful
popping out
set.
of the face.
Yeah, well, I'll
Yeah.
go now. Unlike a lot of those stupid '90s TV shows where it's like we've got our CCT footage, can we zoom and enhance? No, it's bullshit. You cannot do it. That we have the technology. There we go. Zoom and enhance.
Look at that. Look at that skull. It's horrific looking face. And don't get me wrong, like the
That's a,
standard face looks pretty cool too. Like, but
yeah,
but
it's good.
this
Good.
whole this freak out face just blows it out of the water.
The only thing would be
And you can
cooler
even see
is
like
if the eyes could pop in and out like modulock. That would be cool if the snakes would go and pop in and out.
yeah, if there was like a little if they had a little lever on the
Yeah, a
back
little.
to
Yeah,
just to pop it.
doesn't need
But
it,
it's
but it'll be
cool.
nice.
You can even see, like, in that kind of green helmet he's wearing, they've got the molded little snake faces
Yeah,
popping
that's
out of it.
definitely the
Like
Medusa callback there.
but like even at this kind of zoom, you can even see on his actual his chest armor, like it's a real sheen of that black plastic. Like there's a real,
Hmm.
it looks like metallic almost when you see it
Yeah,
blown up
I'm
like
holding
this.
my own up again. It's got like a kind of jet black with a gloss to it, and then the primary green really like sets it off in good contrast. And his armor is
It's a
not
beautiful figure.
removable like other figures. It's real contoured onto his body and part of the sculpt or whatever. It's not a removable rubber piece, so um, it's more slick and all over, making him kind of slender like a snake in it.
Oh, he's a really, really cool looking figure. I just look, even that the snake logo emblazoned on the front of the armor
Yeah,
there looks absolutely awesome.
yeah, I love that.
And like we're saying, I know you don't see it in that picture, but I can show you now in real time. The fact that the snakes actually pop out there as well.
Yeah,
You've got
yeah,
these two,
yeah. That's a
like
cool feature.
that's brilliant. And they've done a
Makes me
good
think of
job of
Fortress
like
Maximus. He's like,
molding on them. Yeah, the shield is a real just winner for me. I just get
yeah,
total Ninja Turtles vibes off it, or
it's like an
Toxic
explosion
Crusaders
of
or something like.
acid or mutagen
Yeah,
or the
I
what's
absolutely
or
love it.
slime pit.
Ooze.
Yeah, I hope I can get a second one of him at some point because he's just such a great figure, and it's been super expensive to get these bastards in Australia. So I paid a fair bit for this. I paid a fair bit for bloody the boss man that he's going to usurp and take over at some point. And I really want to get two of King Hiss, but I had to pay so much to get one, I just couldn't afford to get two. So hopefully I can get a second one of these at some point so I can have both display options. And the cool thing about the Snake Men is, I mean, you've got swappable parts on these guys. There's a legit reason for having two versions of both display options. But the Snake Men are like a race, and there's just like hundreds of any of them, really. I mean, I guess except for King Hiss, but all the other guys, you could say there's hundreds. So you could make as many or as little troops of any of the Snake Men as you want. So you could get Ratlaw or Khan and have multiples of any of those to have a snake army. And I would like to get more snakes, more horde troopers, and then you've got these different factions, and then you got your skeletal bad guys, and set up a bit of a wrestle war.
Yeah, you need to you need to populate your snake ranks, and
Yes,
I'm a
and I
bit
want
like
them on the
you.
Snake Mountain.
I want a second King Hiss, and since we've mentioned King Hiss, this would probably be also a good time to mention because I'm pretty sure
Mm.
it's still going on. Anybody who's subscribed to Weird Fantastic Toy Adventures, Bill over
Yeah,
there is actually doing a giveaway at the moment. and
Yes, he is.
one of the prizes is a King Hiss. So if anybody out there watching hasn't gotten in on that competition yet, maybe go over to Weird Fantastic Toy Adventures and see if you can score yourself a King Hiss. You never know, you might get lucky, or maybe me and Johnny will
Great
get
idea.
lucky and end up with a second King Hiss. Who knows?
Yeah, well, we were both sitting there going, "I want that kick here."
Damn international shipping.
Yeah, it sucks. Sucks. I'm still trying to get Rotons. I'm going to try and get some next month. I'm going to pay out the bloody ass for them. It'll cost me 2 or 3 times what they cost at retail to get one of them here. But there's site called, I think it's Kid In, and it has like sports and clothing and then it's just randomly got toys and masters for retail price, but you pay the crazy shipping, but it's still cheaper than getting through most of the import stores for the final delivered price. So I'm going to try and get some bloody Rotons because it's came out months and months ago, and it's the number one vehicle I wanted in the line, other than the Battle Cat and then the bloody shark thing. So and I want 2 of them really. So I'm going to try and get 2 to make it worthwhile for the shipping price to get them out here.
If you get 2, are you going to display one with the battle armor? Because I'd
No,
like to get a second
I
one.
don't like that face on top thing. I just like it with as it is. I don't like the extra bit on top because that extra face thing looks a bit cartoonish to me. Like, I mean, not the actual cartoon, just generically cartoonish and kind of goofy. So I
Kind of
don't
like the
no, I don't like that one.
there's like a cage cockpit that kind of goes with it if
Yeah,
you
it's
do that.
like a
I
roll
wouldn't
cage thing
mind
or
kind of
whatever it
having a
is.
second one. I'd
Hmm.
like to have a second one just
I just
for
want
both
2
versions.
vanilla style. So if I end up with the bloody 2 of them, I don't want the cage bit. I won't use it.
It's so
But it's an
typical though
awesome.
of we're adult toy collectors. You know, when you were a kid, if you got a figure or a vehicle that had interchangeable parts,
I'm
you
just
just
glad to have it.
interchanged them. Whereas now it's like, I need a second one. I need to be able to display
Yep,
both versions.
need all the options. Is to glow in the dark, change my tires, have a pop on and off roll cage, and get my groceries for me.
Yeah, has to do it all. Gotta have it all. But yeah, Snake Face. What a face and what a figure.
Yeah, that's the end of the slides. We'll chit chat a bit, but that's the last of our picks, and then end of the story apparently. Until next time. That's
Yeah.
my one cheating
It,
there because that's if you pay attention, that's not an origin figure. That's a Masterverse. I just because I had that picture of him with the little golden book and he's reading up about his plans to see what he's going to do next time.
this is the book he consults for every episode
Yeah, Book of
before he launches
Secrets.
into its
He's
game.
reading the script. Skeletor cheats. He reads the script to see what he's going to do next time, just like Megatron.
But yeah, folks, you know, like we've mentioned before in our previous top fours and top five videos, that was just our choices this week. You could ask us in a few weeks' time.
Yeah,
We might have different choices, but of course, we're always curious to know what your choices would have been. Like, would you? I'd imagine a lot of you would probably have quite different top fives to ourselves.
Boss
So
Man.
definitely let us know. And you know, like I was saying, if you want to know what my previous top five were, go check out Chasing 80s Toys.
Yeah, I'm going to watch that again tonight.
Good way to spend an evening. You could do double bill, folks. Whenever this premieres, if you are watching, you know you have something lined up to watch after this video, so you don't have to get too depressed.
That's what I like to do. I like to try and line stuff up and go, what can I watch now? And then it's the weekend, and who's doing something next? Is it Bill or Toy Collections or 3P POA or any of those?
What's the next thing that can distract me from thinking about real life? That's what I like to line up.
Probably the next thing is like if I just ask you a random question like this. Do you like wrestling, Mark?
I
I have a
do, I
feeling you'd like
do.
wrestling because we're going to do coming up a couple of weeks / next month is the loose schedule. We're going to do a talk about WrestleMania. like the first WrestleMania, the debut. And we'll probably talk about other ones, but we're definitely going to do a full chat about WrestleMania.
Well,
As
look, you have
suggested
to
by Mark.
start somewhere. We
Yeah.
have to start somewhere, so we may as well start in the beginning. We'll go right back to the very first WrestleMania.
It's
And we'll get to do our
WrestleMania!
WrestleMania.
I love those promos, like the WrestleMania and the first episodes of Raw, where he's just like screaming at the mic, like, makes me
Through his
think of that.
lungs out.
Makes me think of that channel, the Epic Rap Battles of History. He's like, Epic Rap Battles of History! Each time he gets more and more bizarre the way he screams it out. It's like that watching the WrestleManias and the Vince and all that. It's hilarious. But yeah, we're going to be talk about that one. I've got some other stuff. We'll probably talk about some science fiction movies and stuff down the track. And what else is going on? We'll probably talk about, we've done tonight our Masters picks for the toys, and kind of an alternate sort of week to week or fortnight and do, bit of this topic, bit of Transformers, bit of Masters, bit of something else, WrestleMania, and then we can kind of next month circle around. Like we've done our top 5 Transformers episodes, we could do like a top 5 He-Man, or, well, if it's up to me, I would say She-Ra, because She-Ra's a better show. They're both good shows, but She-Ra kicks ass. I could happily talk about a She-Ra show or do a He-Man pick. And
we can do it
what
all.
else is
We can
going
do it
on?
all. There's so many there's so many things that we love and enjoy that we can pick
There's
each
lots of
other's
other
brains
things.
over.
There's lots of other. We're starting with the obvious, like the greatest hit stuff that like all the people out there we know already like, and then we can get into some of the other like things people have never heard of, like a RoboCop or a Terminator or whatever, aliens or any of that kind of stuff. Or we could talk about stocks in the 80s. We could talk about that. And I will just mention, yeah, I'll just mention we got one other thing coming up. It's like another show I'm going to be doing. I'm trying to find the stupid thumbnail. I thought I had it in here, but maybe I didn't. I'll just chuck the logo in the corner. I called it that. Monday Mutant Madness. I'm going to be doing a talk with Phil from Treasures for Trigger, another Kiwi boy like me who lives in a foreign country, who also happens to like Ninja Turtles and Transformers, not like anybody around here. We're going to be doing a talk in the next couple of days, and that'll be up sort of later in the week. And where the Boba Joe show, I chucked this up at a time that suits the American audience, because in our, Grind Fam circle of toy friends, I know that's when people are around on the weekend can check it out, but it's a pre-record, so you can watch it whenever. The Monday Mutant Madness will be a pre-record as well, but I'm going to be putting that in the Aussie time zone for us bloody Aussies and Kiwis, so we can have something to enjoy, as not just all the Americans. So it'll be in that time zone, and the title was actually inspired by Zazel from the Sergeant Slaughter channel, because he has Mo Tuesday, where they do their talks about, obviously Masters Universe on a Tuesday in Australia, which is awesome because it's usually like 6-7 p.m. after dinner. I can sit down and watch it. So I thought I want to aim for that kind of time slot too. But the last thing I want to do is be on the same day and the same time. And so Monday, different day, obviously. And instead of Mo Tuesday, Mutant Monday. So that one's coming up too.
Makes sense, and you're hitting the Monday nights. You're taking it to Raw, you're taking it
Monday
to Nitro.
Raw. But yeah, we'll finish up there. So thanks guys for tuning in.
Thanks everybody. Take care.